Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this new edition of Sartorial Talks. Today we offer you the part 2 of our grand tour of Southeast Asia. In the last episode we took you to Vietnam and we discovered 2 very talented tailors if you ever go to Vietnam. And today we take you with my beautiful wife Sonya to Bangkok, Thailand, and we're going to focus specifically on 2 items of the gentleman wardrobe.
Yes, we're going to focus on shirts and safari jackets today.
Shirts and safari jackets. So for those of you who didn't watch the first episode to Vietnam, we're going to give you the link so that you can discover these new tailors. And today we're going to go speaking about shirts and also safari jackets in Bangkok, Thailand. But let's jump in right now. We're going to speak about made-to-measure shirt, and there's a few very good addresses in Bangkok. So we have 4 addresses to share with you, 3 that are totally new to us, and 1 that we have a long-term relationship with. It's his Sprezza boutique, our friend Jay in Bangkok, but we're going to cover this later in this video. Let's start now with 3 addresses we want to share with you because they were quite surprising. We decided to look for shirts in this episode, and we were very interested to find out where in Bangkok we can find some real high-level shirts with the proper service, and you have 2 addresses to share with us on shirts.
Yes, well, I was struggling which one to begin with. So let's start with Narin, because Narin's shirt making was actually reviewed by Paul Fournier, I believe in 2017.
Oh, maybe a little bit earlier than that. It's a long time
It could have been a few years earlier, but in that time frame.
Yeah.
And he was very positive. He really appreciated the shirts that were made for him. And we also asked a few Southeast Asian experts to jump in and give their contribution. So we thought, finally, let's go in person and do our own Southeast Asian tour. And so we did go to Narin. So this is probably the most well-known name we see over and over again. And I don't know if you knew it, but before he established his business in 1997 in Bangkok, he was in Paris prior to that.
Yeah,
this could be one reason why he's well-known.
Well, I mean, this guy, Narin, is in one of the main streets in Bangkok. We're going to put all the addresses, of course, in the comments of this video. And, well, of course, we know him by reputation because he was trained in Paris at the Chambre Syndicale de la Couture in Paris, which is an institution that I'm not sure it exists anymore, but there were training tailors and shirt makers at that time. And Narin, it's interesting to say, is that he's not only a shirt maker, but it's first and foremost a tailor that is doing made-to-measure suit. We didn't spend enough time in Bangkok to do a proper fitting with him and speak about suits, etc. So we decided to have our own appreciation and our own opinion on him by commissioning a shirt, but not for me, for my beautiful wife. And then you choose something very specific that tells about who this man is, because he has an impressive stock of shirting, so shirt fabrics, but also of suit fabric. I mean, a really impressive stock of all the big brands in the world, and you picked up something very specific.
Yes, I chose just because it caught my eye, and for a long time I wanted something with polka dots. I know you enjoyed polka dot dyes.
I love it.
And I spotted a polka dot red and white cloth, and I asked Narin, and he said, wow, okay, that's a vintage Japanese cloth that I've had in stock for a while. It hadn't even been, the seal had not even been broken. And I said, well, let's give that a try. So we opened up the bolt and we pulled out the fabric, and the feel was a very dry, and you know how Japanese fabric
very Japanese.
And it looked like a substantial fabric. And I said, well, let's go for it and try it.
And he did the shirt for you. So he measured you properly.
Yes, he did. Very
he took one of your older shirts also to verify the third that you love. This is a very good trick that we give you. It's a good tip. If you have little time for commissioning a shirt or even being measured, bring with you your favorite shirt so that the tailor can measure you, but on top of that, as a reference, your favorite shirt. So you picked up, well, one comment on that. It says already something. When a tailor like that in Bangkok, Thailand, has such a big stock and such a stock of rarities, And this is, in my opinion, his biggest strength, because we saw some specifically, we focused on shirt this time. I suppose
and most
it's
of the
same.
reviews you see will be on the shirts for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yes.
But we didn't have the time to review his stock of fabric for suits. But for shirt, that was really interesting.
Yes, and you're so right about bringing a sample shirt, because it's very hard to communicate, especially if the person's not from your own culture.
Yep.
It's hard to communicate what your vision is. So if you have a shirt that you can say, here, this is one of my favorite shirts, that was a relief almost for him to have that, and he did actually almost duplicate it other than the collar in the end. So it was fantastic.
Exactly. Well, I didn't have a lot of trouble communicating with him because he speaks fluently French.
Well, of course.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yes,
and he was so proud of that. So it was a very good, and so the result was quite impressive, to say the least, because, well, let's break the ice. Sonya is not that easy to dress as a woman, and so it's normal. And specifically for a shirt, who has to be quite close to the body, it takes some expertise, to say the least, to really fit you. And we're going to show you the result. It's quite impressive. You're very happy with this shirt.
I am, and you're right. If you want to analyze a shirt maker, send me to have a shirt made. And he was very he had a good eye. He actually suggested to lengthen the shirt a bit.
Yes.
And I made a few adjustments. So the second shirt, or the shirt that he made, was more comfortable than the original shirt, which I love that.
Yeah. So it's a success.
It is a success.
So at least in terms of shirt making, we can recommend Narin.
Yes.
He's a very well-known man there. The problem he has, in my opinion, is that he's surrounded by cheap suiting company everywhere around him. Is one of the major streets in Thailand. But him, in our opinion, is really picking out of the crowd. I think he has a proper education.
Even
in
with
tailoring.
the architecture inside, he has a lot of nice woodwork, and, it has a more of a vintage and class feel.
Exactly.
I appreciated that.
Exactly. Okay, the relationship with him is a little bit not strange, but he is a.
This is the next thing.
very.
We can say he's eccentric a bit.
A little bit eccentric and very straightforward talking guy. I mean, he will not take gloves. He will give his opinion, which in the tailoring industry we don't dislike, because he has the right to give his opinion on everything, because he's here since 40 years. I mean, he has the right to do that, but don't expect some kind of very posh welcoming. This is not the point. Here you have treasures in fabric, and you have a man who knows what he's doing.
You have a lot of flair, because that's exactly what I wanted to bring up. Is so if you look at the reviews online, you'll see some people saying, well, I don't know about this personality, it didn't really mesh with my personality.
A bit corny.
But for us, we didn't mind. we I can appreciate different personalities.
Yeah, well, it's also because he knows the French culture.
Yes.
And we can be a little bit cynical sometimes here and there, a little bit rough in the communication, but anyway, I like the persona. Honestly, it was very welcoming to us. We even had the opportunity to see the backdrop of his little atelier with some people working. It's very frugal, but it's very professional at the same time. And so, Narin in Bangkok, Thailand, we're going to put the address down. You wanted to add something?
I do. I want to add something. It was about 100 euros.
Around, a little bit less.
Yes, but we just contributed a little bit for service and delivery.
Yes.
And by the way, the service and delivery was exceptional.
Exceptional. And even he's using a courier to send in Europe, which is extremely less expensive than the DHL and FedEx.
Yeah, we could say
you can ask him. He knows this very well. That was our first recommendation, Narin, for shirts, and specifically this beautiful polka dot shirt with this magnificent Japanese fabric, Japanese cotton. Japanese cotton is very specific. It's quite hard to find, actually. For shirt makers who have this in stock, they can always order it, of course. But it's very specific, so it tells a lot about this man. Then we're gonna go to another place for shirts that we didn't know, and we discovered it. It's called DULY, and it's the full name is Lala Douly.
Right,
for us, it's a funny name to say. And look at us. We both are wearing a shirt made by this atelier in Bangkok, Lala Douly. We're going to detail it a little bit more later. And I am also wearing a safari jacket by them, extremely light, with no lining.
It weighs nothing, practically. You could hold it in your palm.
Yeah, it's exactly what you need in these kind of countries. But it's very useful. When we came back to France in August, mid-August, it was very interesting to wear, because it's like you have nothing on you, and it's still very chic.
It's almost a combination of an overshirt and a safari jacket.
Yes.
It's very easy to wear.
Exactly. So let's speak about Lala Douly. The first surprise we had is that this shop and made-to-measure atelier is not run by a man, by a woman.
Okay, well, yes,
What's
I
her
think
name
there's
is?
a
Vishuddha.
there's a partnership, but one is a woman. Yes.
Yes, I mean the front person that
Yes.
you see at the
She
shop.
welcomed us.
It's a woman.
That's right.
And she was a funny person, very passionate.
Very warm, high social IQ.
Yes.
Just an overall well-rounded person. We can say.
Yeah, extremely well-rounded. So tell us about this shop and more precisely about our experience. As you can see, I went for something a little bit more casual. And Sonya, she went to something quite classic.
Yes, I needed a light blue.
And once again, you're not easy to fit as a person, as a woman in tailoring and specifically shirt making. And we can say that was a very good experience too.
Yes, and when we walked in, we can first say it's a high design. The
beautiful
shop.
shop.
I mean, it's really, I think, elevated in terms of presentation.
Yes.
And wildly, it's almost like you have the whole staff around you helping you.
Yes.
Which is almost like a royal experience.
This is amazing, actually.
And you have full attention of numerous people, really honing in on which fabric you're going to choose, what cut you like, specific components of the shirt. And it just felt so thorough. You almost had a safe feeling when you were there.
I remember you had to step on a podium with different glasses. We're going to show the pictures. They measured you thoroughly. I mean, really precisely. On the staff, there were almost only women, except one guy, if I remember well. All the workers were women, and I really appreciated the care they took to measure both of us, and also, which is probably even more important, the amazing choice of fabric for shirts we had.
Right.
That is
It was
not only the scrapbook when you can find with a little sample. No, they had real length of a lot of different fabric. Mine was a fabric that they own directly, they have directly in the shop.
Gorgeous, I love that fabric.
And we were really happy with that. So
I loved how they presented the fabric. It was like our library. It looked like books and shelves.
So basically, there was a fantastic experience. We got measured, both of us. We chose our fabric, and then we received the shirts a couple of weeks after, directly in France. And it's always a little bit stressful for us. You can imagine we have a large, substantial wardrobe, both of us, specifically in terms of shirts. But it's always a little bit stressful to say, it's going to fit me or not fit me. And both of us were absolutely happy with those two shirts.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And the delivery was seamless, and the follow-up was great.
Yeah.
Nothing to say.
And in terms of price, we can say it's not as cheap as you can find some stuff in Thailand and Southeast Asia, but it's a very, very good value for money and extremely good competitive price, given the fact that, honestly, and this is why we're very interested with Sonya about Southeast Asia these days, because honestly, if I'm really honest, well, that was the kind of service I would receive in Italy, in England, or even in Paris. There was no difference.
Absolutely.
In terms of professionalism, in terms of care. And on top of that, we must say that we like the Bangkok and Thai way of presenting themselves. They're always extremely kind, a lot of smiles, not stressful, very relaxed people. And so this is definitely an excellent shop to visit. So for made-to-measure shirt, they also do a little bit of tailoring, but we didn't have the time to check on that. And they do some magnificent ready-to-wear. That's my jacket.
This is ready-to-wear. That's a good
it's
point.
ready-to-wear.
Indeed.
Safari jacket. You know what? I love this jacket. It's my go-to jacket when I want to go to the open market, when I go quickly to the bakery. I just put this on. It seems it's casual, but it looks quite chic at the same time. And this is from these people. So Lala, Douly in Bangkok. Once again, we'll put the address just under this video. And then you want to speak, we're going to continue on the safari jacket universe, because my beautiful wife, she's wearing an excellent safari jacket that was made by a young tailor in Bangkok also.
Yes, that's right. This tailor's, you will not forget the name of this tailoring shop when I say it. It's unique. Praise Tailor is the name of the shop. And the way I discovered their quite glorious safari jackets is from looking at another person that we visited that we will cover later. It's a craftsman a shoe craftsman
Oh,
at
yeah.
3 Shoes, and his name is JUI. So
Yeah.
I'll let you venture.
I mean the 3 Shoes because
Yes.
we're going to dedicate another
Yes.
episode because we're going to
Later.
do a long series of episodes to all these Southeast Asian people, and then we had to visit a shoemaker for another episode soon to be released in Bangkok, and this young man
yes,
decided
so the way
to
this
join.
all connects together is Jui, the shoemaker, wears the safari jacket
okay.
of Praise Tailor.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and I thought, wow, it looks amazing. And I just had to follow up and say, who did this for you? And he said, Praise Tailor.
And so you contacted him.
Rasheen,
Yeah.
I think is the name. And I contacted him and said, why don't you meet us over at 3 Shoes and let's see what you have. Well, he was looking at my dimensions. And the thing about, again, I told you in the last episode, the people in Southeast Asia who are craftsmen and craftswomen, they have almost a sixth sense of the dimensions of the body.
That's incredible.
And I think it's out of necessity because
Yes.
they're selling overseas so much.
Yes.
And indeed, he brought, knowing my dimensions and my proportions, he brought the safari jacket he believed that would be right for me, and it fit perfectly,
So he took
which
the
was
risk.
amazing.
He took the risk basically to say,
Yes.
this is a finished jacket for you,
Yeah,
and you
it's
should
insane.
wear. And look at that.
And he-
This is pure linen.
Yes.
It's amazing.
As well as yours. We're both
Yeah,
wearing
pure linen
yes.
also. It's beautiful, honestly. So we didn't go to his shop. He came to visit us while we were visiting the shoemaker because we were making the most of
Right.
every day. And believe me, driving a car in Bangkok is not that easy. We spend hours and hours in traffic jams.
Incredible traffic.
Yeah, and so we wanted to really make the most of it. So we asked him if he could join our visit to the shoemaker and bring your safari jacket.
Yes,
and
and it
here
worked
we
quite well.
are.
And it's one of the few websites on tailoring that I've seen with a page dedicated to safari jackets. So it's a type of specialty that they do. I can't speak to their other crafting, but I can say this was about 200 retailing.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
hey, for a jacket, come on.
Amazing.
It's going to be
Yeah.
well worn over the years, and
It is
I do
amazing.
appreciate it.
I just want to follow up a little bit on what you just said about developing an eye out of necessity. This is a very good lesson. And it's a very good lesson in life. That is to say, we didn't realize when we came to Southeast Asia the first time how those tailors, and I want to add young tailors because most of them are in their 30s, 40s, which is quite young for this kind of job, even late 20s for the Vietnamese. And we didn't realize how very specific and precise they were, even if they were not meeting you in person.
True.
That's something, and you're right, out of necessity, they had no choice but to develop an eye, to develop a way of doing things, because when you're a bespoke tailor in France or in England or in Italy, you have 2, 3, or 4 fitting. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's a difficult work. But when you have 2 or 3 fittings ahead of you, well, you can take your time. You can know that the fitting is just a rough of the jacket, and you can still readapt everything to the morphology of the person. But when you see people hardly one time, or you start by a video a consultation and then you see one person only one time, you have to develop an eye. And we must say that I was the one who told our followers for many, many years, video fitting, I'm not sure about that. In person is always best. But now I have to revise my judgment because he's the third young tailor in this region of the world who really convinced us that it is possible. Of course, it's better to go in person. If you can go 2 or 3 times, the result is going to be amazing. But if you don't, it's still an option.
It's
really
true. And this particular place, Praise Tailor, they're working on the 3rd generation there. DULY, for example, has been around for a long time. Narin, pre-79. I mean, we're talking about established people.
Exactly. And this is the spirit of this series, is that to help you, find
Navigate,
your way
yes.
in all the proposal. I would say probably 75% of them are not real proposal, but 25% of them are nice style proposal, and this is the idea of this series. So that's it for Praise Bespoke. That's a very interesting, especially for safari jacket, because you have the result in front of you, and it's absolutely beautiful. And the last address we want to share with you is not exactly somebody we discovered during this trip, because we know this man for many, many, many years. He's kind of a figure in our industry. His name is Jay. So we call him Jay, but I try to remember his name is Sachdev. Jay Sachdev, very well known in our industry for fabrics, because he has a company, I think it's a second, third, or maybe fourth generation of a family fabric company called Capra Fabric. Very interesting fabric. By the way, we took his fabric to do the Vietnamese tailoring, right?
I'm wearing the trousers, with the Capra fabric, which is the name of his brand.
Excellent fabric. And I know he also has a company called Huddersfield Textile, where he's importing English fabric to the Far East. But also, a few years ago, he opened a boutique called Sprezza Boutique, which is a contraction of Sprezzatura Boutique. And in this boutique, he offers fabric, of course, bespoke, semi-bespoke, let's say made to measure, and also some ready to wear. Exactly. And what is fun is that sometimes life is strange. We had to go to his place to rediscover a production from Italy from a man that we know quite well, Alessandro Squarzi. Yeah, most people know him. And guess what? I decided, because I saw something really nice, Jay said to me, you have to try this. And I tried it. And I bought an overshirt, ready to wear, but not made by anybody, made by our friend Alessandro Squarzi. And it's so funny, sometimes life is full of surprises. We had to go to Bangkok to finally try on the work of our friend Squarzi, which is quite well known for a more, let's say, laid-back, casual style.
Years ago, he started off in classic style, and he kind of morphed into more of, like you said, a laid-back, more casual options that people can go to look for an elegance factor when they're trying to dress casual.
Exactly. So this is what the brand is called Fortella. This is a very specific brand. They are extremists in the choice of fabric, the choice of thread. They are really Italian. I mean, they go very far. And so it was very interesting. Not my everyday outfit, of course, but for a more relaxed, laid-back style for, I don't know, family meetings or for more casual occasion. It can be very nice. So it's this overshirt, and also I bought a white T-shirt. Yes, you heard it well. I didn't do this for more than 20 years, maybe.
That's so American.
Yes. What do you mean American?
They think, a lot of American men think you have to wear a white T-shirt under your shirt.
Oh, no.
So when they hear white T-shirt, that's what they think of. But this was not the reason for you.
No. The white T-shirt I'm speaking of will not fit under a shirt, because it's kind of a thick cotton T-shirt from Japan. Once again, my overshirt is also from Japan. This is extremely high-level cotton. So we just wanted to pay a tribute and say hello to Alessandro Squarzi with his beautiful brand Fortella, and of course to our friend Jay, even if it was not a discovery for us. But if you are around Bangkok, go and take a look to this Sprezza boutique. You will find some really interesting thing, and namely a Parisian brand, Cinabre, our friend Alexandre Chapelier, beautiful boutique in France. And Cinabre is the specialist of anything black tie, and specifically bow ties. And at Jay's boutique, at Sprezza boutique in Bangkok, they have a full displays of all the different kinds of black bow ties you may use for a black tie event. So if you're in Bangkok and you need last minute a very, very high-level bow tie because you have a black tie event, Sprezza Boutique will supply this with the French brand Cinabre. So let's wrap up. First address, Narin. He did this wonderful polka dot with Japanese cotton for Sonya. And believe me, if he can make something perfect for Sonya, it means he's a bona fide shirt maker. Second address, Lala Douly. Beautiful place. You really like this place. Yes,
I like the atmosphere.
The atmosphere. It looks like an old English club. Something like that is really reminiscent of English club. So Lala Douly for shirts and also Safrid jacket. We didn't test their tailoring. Maybe we'll do in the future, but not for now. No, for shirt, it's also an excellent address. Third, Praise Bespoke. This young gentleman, we didn't visit his place, but he came to visit us while we were visiting a shoemaker, and he took the risk to do this directly for Sonya in linen, and you can see the result is really interesting for a really competitive price. And of course, Sprezza Boutique, our friend Jay. If you're in the Sartorial world, you have to pay him a visit. It's a beautiful place, extremely well curated with beautiful suits. Oh, he's distributing Rubinacci also, for example. So it's a high-level place. So This is all for today, ladies and gentlemen. This is our part 2 of our grand tour of Southeast Asia. And Sonya, I give you an appointment. We're going to do it together to the next episode of Sartorial Talk that will be dedicated to other tailors and shoemakers from Southeast Asia.
Hopefully expanding all around Southeast Asia.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we are planning, as you know, if you looked at the first episode, we are planning a tour that will take us, to Vietnam, to Cambodia, to Thailand, but also to South Korea, to Japan, and to Singapore. So we have a lot for you in the coming month, and we hope they will be interesting for you, and we hope we are useful for you, because we receive so many requests from you who said, where do I go in Southeast Asia? Now we hope you know better. See you soon for next episode of Sartorial Talks. Thank you, darling.
Thank you.